Good morning, everyone. Thank you again for attending. Each year, the Boy Scouts of America recognize an outstanding individual in Carroll County for their dedicated service to our community. This event also raises funds to support the scouting programs that reach over 1,300 young men and women in Carroll County alone. This year, we honor Paula Langmead. On behalf of the Carroll District of the Baltimore Area Council, Boy Scouts of America, we are pleased that you're here with us this morning to help with the honor. If you all could now rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by our Eagle Scout, Katie Olson, and remain standing for the Scout Oath and Law and Invocation.
Scout salute. If you are not in, thank you for the mic. If you are not in uniform, please put your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Scout sign. Please follow me in the Scout oath and law. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. 2.
Please remain standing for Pastor Matthew Pensinger, Senior Pastor of Westminster's Grace Lutheran Church.
Thank you. I only had to peek once at the Scout Law. I forgot friendly. Let us pray. Good and gracious God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this gathering, and we thank you for scouting. Help us to continue to live out the values that make our society and your world stronger, safer, and better. We thank you for this food, and we ask that you would be present with us today as we lift up those who we honor and as we continue to be your people. In your name we pray. Amen.
Please be seated. We'd like to thank everyone for helping this morning in the opening ceremonies, and I would like to extend special thanks to Pleasant Valley Fire Hall for hosting us. We'll begin our breakfast buffet now, and please enjoy your breakfast. Thank you so much. This morning we recognize Mrs. Langmead for her work in our community. She follows a long line of distinguished Good Scout recipients, 33 to be exact. Among them are state senators, county executives, and outstanding community leaders, each sharing the title of Good Scout. The participation and ongoing support of all our prior honorees helps to ensure the continued success of this annual Good Scout Award breakfast. Would all previous Carroll County Good Scout honorees who are in attendance please stand to be recognized? Their names are printed in the program. We'd also like to recognize our elected officials and dignitaries who are with us this morning. If you could please stand as I call your name. Kevin Dayhoff, Westminster Council Member. Susan Krebs, Retired District 5 Delegate. Judge Mark Ransky. Judge Charles Harrison. Past Westminster Council President Sam Green Holtz. Board of Education former member Virginia Harrison. And Tawnytown Council Member Diane Foster. Is there anyone we missed? Finally, we are pleased to have several of our top volunteers and professionals from the Baltimore Area Council. Mr. Peter Jacobus, Carroll District Commissioner. He's back here in the back. Mr. Ken Miller, Baltimore Area Council Scout Executive. Thank you both for being here with us today for this special occasion and for the work you do year-round to provide scouting to our community. Now, I get to introduce one of Carroll County's finest young scouts, Katie Olson. I have a unique pleasure of introducing Katie since I've known her since she was 3 years old. So, Katie's an Eagle Scout and a senior at Century High School in Sykesville. She's currently enrolled in the Cisco Networking Cybersecurity Program at Carroll Career and Tech Center and plans on studying cybersecurity in the fall at a college. Katie has participated in the scouting program since 2019 when BSA opened the doors for girls to join. She's completed 37 merit badges, completed National Youth Leadership Training, and staffed the Wood Badge. She is a member of the Order of Arrow, camped 120 nights, climbed Mount Fuji as part of the Kawasaki, Japan, and Baltimore Area Council Scout Contingent. She's a member of Troop 417G, sponsored by the Sykesville Freedom Fire Department, and plans on continuing scouting as both an adult and as part of the venture crew. Please welcome Eagle Scout Katie Olson.
Well, thank you for that lovely introduction, and it looks like I was lucky enough to... Thank you. So now I get to talk a little bit about all the amazing things I've been able to do as part of this scouting movement. Ta-da. Thank you. So I was able to work on camp staff this summer at Broad Creek. One of my favorite things I've been able to do. Got some lovely pictures up there. I was working as the Broad Creek 2023 STEM instructor, where I was able to teach a variety of young scouts about different STEM merit badges, including things from animation, from animation to sign signals and codes, and also various service projects there, like everything from clearing trails to finding broken tents. I was able to share and teach my knowledge of scouting to lots of younger scouts and have a lot of fun staffing. Ta-da. Thank you. All right, so my Eagle project. This was a project I had to reflect a little bit on, but eventually I ended up with one that would help out my local fire department, where I started my own scouting journey. So I repaired one of the outbuildings that my fire department uses for its yearly carnival fundraiser. I added the cabinet you see there to help store a spinning wheel they use for one of their games that is mounted on the wall with a lock, so you don't need to keep transporting the heavy wheel back and forth from the shed every single night. And I also added a swinging door on the other side, so people couldn't just walk through the area where the prizes are kept, so you can still see them, but makes it a little bit more difficult to get to them. And there's a picture there of it open with the wheel mount and the fun signage put in there. And I also painted the thing. It did not used to be that color, so now it has a nice coat of paint and it looks pretty. There we go. So it wasn't a easy journey becoming an Eagle Scout, especially since, COVID decided to happen right as we were forming our troop. So we got over that. And even just scheduling my own board review, I had to wade through a bunch of different bylaws and little tiny bureaucratic things to go, yes, I absolutely can schedule this. I've completed all these requirements. All my paperwork has been filed. It's all been signed by the appropriate people. And then off to my board review. And there's a funny little cartoon I generated with my face. All right, and here is a picture of me after successfully completed my board of review. It was a interesting time. I walked into my regular scout meeting just like normal, but I had every possible thing I had on my uniform, all the various uniform parts, and I was sitting there with my scoutmaster for what felt like an eternity while they were in there getting all their paperwork and stuff in order. I walked in, was introduced, and at that point, I was fully confident in my ability, and I went through all the various questions like a breeze. And afterwards, it was, no, you're fine, go ahead. And I was able to, and the day after, I was on a plane flying to Japan to join in activities as part of the Baltimore Kawasaki delegation. One of my most favorite things I was able to do, but also one of the most difficult, was climbing Mount Fuji. Now, this is one of the most beautiful hikes I've ever seen, absolutely amazing views all around. However, it was physically and mentally exhausting because it is steep and long. You can see some pictures there of how steep it is. My exhausted face after getting up after like maybe 2-3 hours of sleep, the lovely place where I got to sleep, and the sunrise at the top over the clouds. Very cold, very exhausting, but absolutely worth it. And there's me at the top with all of the lovely people we took a hike with. Very happy to be there. All right, ta-da. All right, and after I got back from my Baltimore Kawasaki delegation, I was also able to go on a trip to Sea Base, out to Big Munson Island. We rode out there in the war canoes, and then we spent just under a week there learning about the different ecological things in the area, doing service projects to help maintain the barrier island, but also some fun things like snorkeling and fishing, and then cooking the fish that you just caught. Tastes so good cooking the fish that you catch and prepare yourself. We also got to say hello to some of the wildlife that would like to run through your camp at night, like Steve, the key deer. Gotta love Steve. And as a quick summary, scouting has meant a lot to me. It's given me great opportunities for personal growth, leadership, public speaking, all that sort of thing. That's a picture of me when I first started scouting. One of the first things I did, STEM merit badge. Little tiny baby me. And then, ta-da! Now I am confident leader, hiking up mountains and doing all sorts of fun things. Very happy and proud to be an Eagle Scout, and I look forward to all the things I will continue to do. Ta-da.
Thank you, Katie, for being part of this great event. I'm sure that I speak for everyone in the room that I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors, and I'm sure that you're going to be part of this community for a long time. We'd like to give you a small token for our appreciation. It is now my pleasure to introduce Peter Jacobus. Peter is currently serving as the District Commissioner for Carroll District.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm truly honored to be here with all of you this morning. And first, I'd like to extend my congratulations to Paul on behalf of the Scouts and Scouters of Carroll District. You truly embody all of the attributes of a good Scout. So, Melissa, would you come back up again? For helping lead our program this morning and for stepping up to MC this effort, I'd like to present you with a small token of thanks. So on behalf of the Good Scout Committee, Baltimore Area Council, and all the youth we serve, please accept this Boy Scout President's Circle scarf. So on behalf of all of the Carroll Scouting community, I'd like to thank you for being here today. So this year, Scouting will serve more than 20,000 scouts and volunteers across central Maryland, with 1,300 of those youth being right here in Carroll County. We've been really busy this year delivering a great program with one goal in mind, and that is to make a positive difference in the life of young people. We really have, and there's a lot of good news here. This year, 45 Carroll County Scouts attained Scouting's highest honor, that of Eagle Scout. The 45 Eagle Scouts, with their service projects, provided over 10,000 hours of community service and generated an economic benefit of over $100,000 right back into our community. This was to government organizations like Public School System, Department of Parks and Rec, and you'll see Eagle Scout projects just sprinkled all throughout the county. A lot of highlights from this year. The first, and kind of one of the chilly highlights, we had over 800 youth and scouters participate in our Klondike festival that was at the Ag Center. So a little chilly, but everybody had a great time. Next highlight of the year came in March as we collected over 30,000 pounds of food at the Scouting for Food, and that went to local food pantries like Carroll Food Sunday. In June, 250 elementary school-aged Cub Scouts attended our week-long day camp that was at the Farm Museum. So they learned about astronomy, woodworking, they rappelled off some of the climbing towers, caught their first bass or bluegill, they practiced first aid skills, and they made lifetime memories with their best friends. So an awesome program coming back after COVID where they can all be together. This summer, we also celebrated over at Broad Creek Memorial Scout Reservation their 75th anniversary, and that included the dedication of their new 600-seat campfire amphitheater. And if you haven't seen that yet, it's worth the trip. Go up to Broad Creek and see it. It is fantastic. So that's one of the first of the enhancements that's there to increase the scouting experience for everybody to build new lifelong memories there. Final program highlight came just last month at our annual STEM Day that we run in the district right here in Westminster. So 80 young women and men spent the day earning over 150 STEM merit badges, nuclear science, architecture, engineering, and oceanography. So that's scouting stepping up in your community to help prepare our next generation of leaders. So certainly a lot of good being done by our scouts here in Carroll County, but I'd also like to invite you to help share in this journey ahead and to make a difference. So I'm inviting you to make an additional individual or corporate contribution to scouting in Carroll County. If you could join me in supporting this character-based leadership development program being provided to our local youth by the Baltimore Area Council, on your tables there are pledge cards. You see a picture in the front and a fill-out section in the back. What it costs the Baltimore Area Council each year for every scout we have is about $190. So if you would be able to help us by pledging to be able to support a scout, keep on this incredible journey of leadership and then lifelong benefit to them, that would be wonderful. So I'll be the first to put my pledge in. Is there anyone who will follow and pledge alongside me? Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So if anybody is putting a pledge, if you just raise it, we'll have some folks be able to come over and take this. And anyone who turns in a card this morning will receive a 2023 Friends of Scouting patch. So thank you very much. And I truly appreciate all who have supported and participated. Thank you. Okay, I would now like to invite the Baltimore Area Council Scout Executive, Ken Miller, to the stage.
Who's ready to climb Mount Fuji with our Eagle Scout? Anybody in for that? That was pretty impressive. I'm not sure I'd be ready for that one myself. But hey, thank you for coming out today. This is a special event. I love coming out to our community events just to see the community come out and support scouting. I want to thank Debbie and Ethan Seidel for serving as the chair this year. If you would come forward, leave a little thank you. Now, while they're coming up, and Scout is trustworthy and honest, and they shared something with me when I went over to say hi. So as you know, as a past honoree, you get the neckerchief, you get the campaign hat, you get the walking stave. So there is alternative uses for that. I have learned, and I won't even make it. So I believe this year at Halloween, you were like the life of the party as 2 scouts going there. That's what I understood. No, great use of those items. Would like to present you with a Boy Scout tie and a. Hey, thank you so much. Let's give him a hand. And certainly congratulations to Paula, our honoree. I look forward to hearing your comments later. And I'd like to recognize Steve Shaver. Steve, the big guy in the back. Steve is your district director that brings the scouting program to Carroll County as our lead staff person out here. Let's give Steve a hand for his work today. The last group I'd like to recognize, and this is important, we thrive, we grow because of volunteers. That's what makes scouting the iconic organization it has been for over 113 years. So anybody that's currently a scouting volunteer, anybody that's currently bringing the scouting program to the youth of Carroll County, would you stand? Somebody's doing scouting. Come on now. All right, Peter. All right, no, wait. Keep standing. Keep standing. Anybody that has been a scouting volunteer in the past, with your kids, with others, would you stand? Anyone that has children or they themselves were in scouting as a youth, children in scouting or they were in scouting, would you stand? All right, we're going to make this really easy. Anybody that knows a scout, would you stand? Scouting reaches so far and wide, and truly the volunteers that bring it every day. You think about that. We started tonight or this morning with the Scout Oath and Law. So that's 400 packs and troops around the 5-county area meet every week. And those 12,000 youth every week say that Scout Oath and Law. We would be such a better place if more youth lived by the Scout Oath and Law and the things we could do with that. So let's talk about the return on investment. Peter shared a little bit with you. That's always the thing for me. We're asking you to commit. What do you get for those fundings? You heard about some of the good things, the Scouting for Food drive. We know that's one of the largest Scouting for Food drives in Central Maryland by far. It's a little over 300,000 pounds of food that we collect. It's collected locally. It stays locally. It is a great program for us. We talked about merit badges, so I looked it up, Peter. 1,698 merit badges have been earned this year. And what I know about merit badges, for many of our scouts, and if you were in scouts, you will have these flashback moments your entire life. That merit badge may be your career, and it undoubtedly is probably a hobby or two, a skill that you have. I always tell the story when I was at one of our homes, a water pipe burst in the wintertime, and the water's rushing in. We got 2 little babies at home, and nobody's coming out, and I got this plumbing merit badge. And my wife to this day still talks about how could you possibly know how to fix that. And I don't know that it would pass union code, but by God, we had water, and the kids were good. So we talked about Eagle Scouts. One of the things I started doing is tracking. Peter shared the data. Those young people, of those Eagle Scouts this year, 5 were young ladies. And that's a trend that you're going to see continue to grow. Today, about 16% of our membership is female. As you heard, in 2019, we went fully co-ed, and that continues to grow. There are boy troops and girl troops, and that's how we run those. But we track the data, and this was one, partnerships. I was looking, had a meeting with the school superintendent, and I said, did you know that 6 of our Eagle Scouts in the last few years have done projects for the schools themselves, 6 projects to the schools, estimated value at $13,000. That's pretty impressive. And when you take that total number of Eagle project value, this year it was $66,771 so far. And that's our scouts putting an estimate on their projects. I would tell you, I think their estimates are low. But what are we teaching those scouts when they have to identify the community project? They have to go to those community leaders and say, here's what I'd like to do. Imagine being a 15, 16-year-old youth and doing this. The hardest thing is giving leadership to your peers. If you were 16, you imagine trying to give leadership to 8, 10, 20 of your peers to complete that project. So the skills these young people learn serve them so well the rest of their life. They really do. It's kind of our hidden asset. We know in our 5-county area there's about 20,000 Eagle Scouts that reside in the area. It's impressive. So last year when I was here, we talked a little bit about Broad Creek, and let me get straight here. Broad Creek is our 1,700-acre scout reservation in northeast Harford County. As Peter shared, this year we celebrated our 75th anniversary. Had a great time. Please do check your program. This was the highlight that he was mentioning. This was, we started the capital campaign a few years ago with a goal to raise $9.5 million. I would tell you last year when I was here, we had raised a total of $5.2 million towards that goal. From last year to this year, today we are at $7.5 million, and we will next year when I come, you call me out on this. Next year when I come back to this event, we're going to talk about the 9.5 and the impact we've had. But this amphitheater was huge, and probably the best thing we do, return on investment. We know the scouting alumni is everywhere, so rather than just walk in the door and pay to have this done, this was a $300,000 project, and our out-of-pocket expense was $64,000 because all the local contractors stepped up and helped us deliver this lifetime legacy amphitheater. It'll be here forever. I tell the story though, if you look at this, I'm a big zero maintenance guy, so this is all stone. It's going to be there forever. One of the moms came up to me and she said, well, you're not going to make the kids sit on that concrete block. You're going to put seats on there, aren't you? And it's like, no, man, we are not putting seats on this. So yeah, no maintenance for there. If you look on the other side, you will see the projects that are committed. Those that are fully shaded have been done. We just signed a contract for $2.2 million to build a wastewater treatment plant that the reservation has needed for about 20 years. It has limited our ability to add any additional water source. So that starts in January. And then probably the biggie is a 3 new shower houses, and then a 400-seat dining hall. It really is amazing. Broad Creek Scout Reservation has about 28,000 people that go through it annually, 28,000. It is an amazing community resource, and we're really excited. If you went to Broad Creek as a kid, hadn't been back in years, like to go back and visit, talk to one of myself or one of our staff. We'd love to get you out there. And if you have interest in the capital campaign, I'd love to talk to you about that as well. So for over 113 years, the scouting program, for it to thrive, it not only takes the commitment of the youth, the parents, and dedicated volunteers, it takes the commitment of the community to provide the resources needed for a positive experience. That's what this event helps with. We talk about partnerships. When you think of the Packs and Troops crews in Carroll County, they're all chartered by churches, civic groups. That partnership has been a stalwart of the scouting program for over a century, and it really makes us grow. It makes us thrive. If you believe you are connected to an organization, we can always use more scouts. If you are connected to an organization that you think may have an interest or a good partner for scouting, there are areas in the county that we know we can do better, and we would welcome to talk to you. So when we talk about your donation today, you can think it's a donation, but it really is an investment in the youth of Carroll County. What you're doing is making a difference, like Katie, and we hope that she stays and becomes a community leader and does great things. I wanted to just close. Last night we had an event in downtown Baltimore. It's the Whitney M. Young Jr. Award. Whitney M. Young was a civil rights leader back in the day, and this award is a national scouting award for folks that help us grow scouting in the inner city. So we presented that to 2 inner city community leaders as we grow scouting in Baltimore City, where it's certainly needed. But in doing some research on Whitney Young, I found a quote that he had, and I really like this. He said, "It is better to prepare for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared." We talk about scouting every day. It's all about be prepared, teaching our young people to be good citizens, good community leaders. I say this every year, but I believe it in my heart. Scouting is good for the youth of Carroll County, and we know scouting makes an incredible difference in Carroll County. Thank you for your support and all that you're doing to help us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. The Good Scout Award is presented to those who exemplify in their daily lives the values and ideals of the Boy Scouts of America, which are expressed in the Scout Oath and Law that were recited to us earlier by Katie during the opening ceremony. Good Scout recipients have been chosen for their outstanding community service, as evidenced by the interest and leadership given to many worthwhile organizations. Respect and esteem in which their colleagues hold them is also very important. Before we bring Paula forward for the presentation of the Good Scout Award, we should give her a proper introduction. To introduce Mrs. Langmead, I invite Susan Krebs, who served 20 years as a delegate representing Maryland District 5, which comprises southeast Carroll County, including Eldersburg, Marriottsville, and parts of Sykesville.
Thank you all so much. It is certainly an honor to be here today to introduce our recipient of the 2023 Carroll County Good Scout Award. I first want to thank the Good Scout Committee for working to recognize all of the outstanding community service of individuals in our community while helping to sustain and grow the scouting program in Carroll County. And I'm so glad the Scouts now include girls and women in their program, because when I was a Girl Scout, we didn't do quite as many exciting things. So it's really cool to see us grow. A special thank you to the sponsors and volunteers who are here today, because your investment in Scouts, as Ken just told you, is a good one. We're not putting these students in our incarcerated or detention centers because they're going out to do good things once they're through the scouting program. The scouting program in Carroll County is one that continues to be strong in engaging our youth and providing our next generation of leaders in our community. One of my favorite activities I participated in as a state legislator was the Eagle Scout inductions, and Peter was at many of those. I went to every one I possibly could to show them how important it was. And the volunteers that are involved in that program are incredible, the amount of adult volunteers it takes to put on this program, so thank them as well. I can attest to the fact that our future is bright with our Scouts and the ideals and values which they have been taught. When I first saw the invitation to this event with Paula's name on it, I said, wow, what a great choice. An unsung hero, I believe. It was a great opportunity to join other very worthy recipients that I've seen over the years, many who are here with us today, and looking at the leadership and the volunteers in our wonderful community of Carroll County. The honoree this year, Paula Langmead, exemplifies everything that has been expressed in the Boy Scout Oath and Law, not by just words, but by her actions, and through a lifetime of service to her community in a multitude of ways practiced on a daily basis. First, a little background about Paula. Paula has resided in Carroll County for the past 47 years, enjoying, she told me, a 42-year career at Springfield's Hospital Center in Sykesville, a state psychiatric hospital. During Paula's tenure, she championed for the mentally ill's right to dignity in an inclusive world, and she rose to the position of CEO, Chief Executive Officer, the first female CEO of Springfield Hospital. She was a good one. I had the pleasure of knowing Paula for over 20 years and have worked with her both professionally in her role at Springfield and as a volunteer on the many other boards that she served in her community. Her leadership is contagious. I want to focus a little bit. I could spend all day talking about what she did on all these boards, but I'm going to talk about first, focus on Springfield and the impact at the hospital. You know, having a large regional psychiatric hospital campus in one's community is usually not something that we boast about. But Springfield Hospital has always been a welcome neighbor in Sykesville and in Carroll County. And much of this has to do with the ability of the leadership of the campus, Paula, to engage the community and support the mission of the hospital. From the Women's Auxiliary and the Citizens Advisory Board, to the Eagle Scouts who did projects on campus, to the church groups who visited the patients, and many other service organizations which supported the patients at the hospital. Paula's enthusiasm for volunteerism and service was contagious. Paula held community meetings to hear concerns from citizens and keep them abreast of what was going on. And Paula's always been a good listener and a good problem solver. And Paula had a can-do attitude all of the time and encouraged other citizens to do as well. Paula's professional life and civic life often overlapped, but she ensured that everyone always came out a winner. And I'm going to give you just a couple of examples of what she did at Springfield, where she always had the community's interests at heart. Over the past few decades, the picturesque Sykesville Springfield Hospital campus has been greatly downsized, as of all psychiatric hospitals across our nation. And the nature of the client base has changed dramatically. Throughout all of those changes, Paula had a seat at the table and was determined to be a good steward of this remarkable piece of property in the middle of our community. She was also instrumental in ensuring that the hospital remained viable and focused on its mission to serve the mental health needs of our citizens, while guiding the downsizing and ensuring that the surplus hospital property was used in a way that would benefit our community. Large portions of the hospital were surplused by the state and repurposed. Large capital projects were erected on the campus, like the Maryland Public Safety and Corrections Training Facility, the annexation of the Warfield Commerce and Cultural Center by the town of Sykesville, and the building of the Maryland Army National Guard Readiness Center. All large, very large projects. When the county commissioners wanted to build a new heroin treatment facility 20 years ago, Paula stepped up and we worked to find a suitable site on the Springfield campus to build that much-needed project. Again, under Paula's leadership, this potentially controversial addiction center in our community was smooth sailing. When Crownsville State Hospital in Anne Arundel County closed, many of the patients were transferred to Springfield. Paula and her team had to integrate many longtime patients into the new environment, a new home for many of them. Not only did those patients acclimate to their new home, but they actually thrived in their new community at Springfield. Springfield Hospital is considered the best psychiatric hospital in the state of Maryland, in no small part because of Paula's leadership. Paula is highly respected by her peers, and her quiet but thoughtful demeanor always focused on doing the right thing. For years, it bothered Paula that a burial site on the hospital campus was called Sunnyside Cemetery, which many of you probably never heard of or been to. It bothered her because the graves of former patients who were unclaimed and until now unidentified were marked only by a number. So Paula led the 8-year painstakingly tedious effort looking through old records to identify the 908 unmarked graves. In the effort called Let Us Name Them, a bronze plaque was unveiled that listed the names of the deceased buried on the ground. Paula believed that this would give the deceased a dignity that they might not had in life. Whenever there was a need, Paula was always available to find a solution. She was always committed to providing considerate, respectful, and compassionate care in a safe environment for individuals under her watch, especially those who are unable to advocate for themselves. Paula's faith in God and respect for every individual as the human beings he created enabled Paula to see the beauty and purpose in every individual. With all of her responsibilities serving as longtime CEO of Springfield Hospital and the rapidly challenging role of mental health care, one would think that Paula had enough to fill on her plate. But no, Paula somehow found time to serve on many other substantial volunteer roles in our community. And I could spend the rest of the morning elaborating on the accomplishments associated with each of those boards, and many of you know that because you've worked with her. And you have your own stories to tell, but we'll have to do that offline or we'll be here for lunch. But I know Paula would not want me to do that, so I'm probably going on long enough. But I'm going to just share a few briefly, and many of you are attached to these organizations. First of all, in 2001, Paula was the first woman appointed to the Carroll Hospital Board of Directors. And she served as a board member with Carroll Community College, Carroll Lutheran Village, Carroll County Human Relations Commission, Community Foundation of Carroll County, Carroll County Chamber of Commerce, South Carroll Business Association, I believe she was one of the founding members, South Carroll Food Pantry, United Way of Central Maryland, and I'm sure there's many more on this list. And not only did Paula put her name to serve on those boards, she was more often than not the dependable leader of those boards. And she always said yes. She was always promoting acts of kindness and giving back to the community in a very quiet and unassuming servant leadership role. In addition to this exemplary and meaningful career, Paula somehow had time to bear 4 children, who I'm sure she's going to talk about when she comes up, and now she has 10 grandchildren. I know that Paula is so proud of her children, and adores her grandchildren, and they are in turn proud of their mother and their grandmother. Paula could never have done this without her loyal life partner, loyal companion, and supportive husband of 50 years, Harry, to hold down the fort at home. Harry was an institution in his own right. He shared Paula's passion in the life of his family and working with young men and women committed to the Maryland Department of Juvenile Services, where he worked. After a long career in public service, Harry's retirement consisted of being a role model and mentor to students in the drama department at Liberty High School and the drama production at Life Point Church. Everyone knew who Mr. Harry was. Harry's passing earlier this year left a huge void in the Langmead family, but I know that he is here with us today, beaming with pride at his family legacy, and especially at his adoring wife, Paula, as she's being honored. On behalf of the Carroll County delegation to Annapolis, I would like to thank Paula for all that she has done to make a difference in the lives of so many in our community. And on behalf of the Good Scout Committee, I introduce you the 2023 Carroll County Good Scout, Paula Langmead. Thank you.
For Mrs. Langmead to be properly dressed for the formal presentation, we ask Katie to present her with the Scout hat and neckerchief. The wearing of the hat and neckerchief is a tradition of the Boy Scouts of America for over 110 years and fitting for these special occasions. Also present her with the staff.
It's not funny, Lee.
She looks good, right? The presentation of the scouting staff is another tradition here in Carroll County. Mrs. Langmead, please accept the staff with our sincerest wishes. The Good Scout Award is a special statuette originally sculpted by Dr. R. Tate McKenzie, who served scouting in Philadelphia from 1911 to 1938. Dr. McKenzie wanted to portray the grand traits of character that he knew the scouting movement instilled in young people. The uncovered head representing reverence and obedience. The axe on the hand rests was a symbol of George Washington's truthfulness. And on the perimeter of the base of the statuette are the 12 points of the Scout Law from trustworthy to reverent. The McKenzie statue has become a lasting symbol of the Boy Scouts and can be seen across the country at scouting facilities and camps, such as our own service center down in Wyman Park in Baltimore. Dr. and Mrs. Seidel, will you please come and present this statuette to Mrs. Langmead? Mrs. Langmead, for your dedication and service to the community, for your efforts to help so many nonprofit organizations, for the respect held for you by all citizens of Carroll County, and on behalf of all your friends and colleagues, the Boy Scouts of America take great pride and pleasure in declaring you the 2023 Carroll County Good Scout. Go ahead and sit down. It's my pleasure to introduce Mrs. Langmead.
Thank you very much, Melissa. And where are my notes? Thanks. Wow. thank you, Susan Krebs, for building on a resume that I no longer need to send out, but thank you very much. I want to thank you all for this award. I think the audience here today is or has the most dedicated, busiest, and strongest leaders in Carroll County. And it's really important for me to note that most of you are people that have things to do every day, and yet you come here today by making changes to your schedules and going out of your way to get here. I'd like to acknowledge all of you for coming and thank you for your dedication to scouting. Now I have a story about growing up in scouting, but I'm sort of embarrassed to talk about it after hearing what Catherine Olson did. You know, mine is nowhere near that. But I was very lucky growing up as part of my early life. I began as a Brownie Scout, and then I transitioned into a Girl Scout. And I will always, always remember the kindness and care and opportunities given to me by Scout leaders. My fondest memory is that of hiking the Appalachian Trail. It was a 5-day hike. Each evening after walking for miles, we would set up our pup tents and then sleep on the ground. In the morning, we would cook our breakfast on Bunsen burners that each of us had made out of a large tin can. Layered the inside with cardboard, poured wax over the top, and then lit it. Additionally, in early scouting, I was intrigued with my sash and adding badges, merit badges to it. The badges would demonstrate successful completion of challenges. Adventures like these helped me to gain confidence in my ability to be independent and navigate a number of challenges. Our lives are often shaped by historical events and the time in which we live. However, it is the connections that we make that defines us and gives our lives meaning. Currently, our country has experienced various turbulent events. In a world that at times seems confusing and difficult to navigate. So it is important, well, no, really, it's imperative to instill a strong, stable foundation that will support and guide the youth of our community. Our young people face many challenges that are different than challenges I faced while growing up. Growing up, you know, I faced a challenge of when the Beatles came to Baltimore, getting tickets for everybody on my troop. I mean, that was a major challenge. However, now, there are bigger challenges for our youth. They have to get used to drugs, social media, and bullying. So scouting offers opportunities for alternatives and the ability to establish friendships that can become part of the map for their futures. We are blessed to be living in Carroll County. It is truly a community that cares and cares deeply for its young people who thrive here. This county offers as many avenues for our young people to develop character. Scouts pledge to dedicate themselves to service for others. The mission of scouting is to prepare young people to make ethical and moral choices. over their lifetimes by instilling in them the values of the Scout Oath and Scout Law. So today, all of us here are gathered as leaders and models in this community. We need to remain vocal regarding young individuals who have given time to scouting in their lives. We need to remain vocal in making sure there are avenues and alternatives for the young people in our community to be involved in. As a community, this group here today is very, very invested in young people and giving them the tools and opportunities to make a difference. Scouts like Catherine are the ones who can change the world by becoming leaders in this Carroll County community. This morning, we are very grateful and privileged to continue to support these young scouts who, like Catherine, are passionate about making a difference. The leaders here today, all of you, play an important role in making sure that we continue to push forward a culture that is inclusive and emulates the Boy Scouts and Scouting. Your presence here this morning, getting up at 4 and 5 in the morning, I've heard a few of you say, your presence here this morning exhibits your modeling and dedication to support these young lives. By working together, we will witness our youth being prepared for life. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you for your dedication, service, and generosity that we have seen not only today, but as long as you have been here in Carroll County. Thank you very much. If you could just also join me in applause for Melissa and Steve, who did everything to make us be able to be here and wear this hat. And so please, they've been extraordinary people to Scouting.
Just stay right up here. We're going to have pictures. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Carroll District and Baltimore Area Council, Boy Scouts of America, I thank you for being with us this morning and for your support of Scouting. As we close and dismiss, please join me in one last round of applause for our 2023 Good Scout, Paula Langme. We would like the committee and former recipients of the Good Scout to please come forward for pictures. So if you would make your way here in just a minute. Thank you everyone for coming, and I hope you have a great day, safe travels. It did not snow here in Carroll County, so we look forward to seeing you next year, December the 4th, 2024. Thank you so much for being here.